Hey everyone, it's Matt Donahue with Mission Financial Planners, and this is your weekly update. To start every year, we're all wondering the same thing. Are the markets still healthy, or are we getting close to the edge of something? After 3 strong years for the S&P 500, it feels really pertinent. Headlines are noisy, opinions are emotional. Planning doesn't live in the headlines. It lives in judgment. So when we think about my passion for Stoic philosophy, Epictetus talked about 3 areas of training for a good life. Those were desire, action, and judgment. That's a pretty good roadmap for financial planning, especially in today's uncertain world. Let's start with desire. The latest update that we have, and you'll see it in our blog post as well, shows that markets being driven by earnings. In 2023, only about a quarter of S&P 500 returns came from earnings growth. By the end of last year, that number had risen to more than 80%, with expectations for continued growth in 2026. Now that sounds really reassuring, but a little bit of judgment does matter here. The earnings growth is narrow. Technology and financials are doing most of the heavy lifting. They're capital intensive. They don't always translate into broad economic strength or household stability. That's where some investors could get in trouble. Strong markets create the desire to assume risk has disappeared. It hasn't. It's just changed shape. At Mission Financial Planners, we don't change what feels good in the moment. We focus on what supports a long-term positive outcome, income durability, diversification, and then also flexibility in planning. That's why we value our strong relationship with Kestra Investment Management, and especially their Chief Investment Officer, President Kara Murphy. Kara and her team are consistently reinforcing the same message we see in the data. The markets reward discipline, not prediction. Earnings matter more than narratives. Diversification still matters, especially when leadership is narrow. If you want deeper context on today's market environment, I highly recommend you watch that recent webinar. It adds valuable perspective and reinforces why judgment beats reaction. You can find that webinar at the link in the video description. January planning, action, right? That's one of the Stoic disciplines. January isn't exciting, at least it's not supposed to be, but it's decisive. Medicare enrollment windows, estimated tax payments, those can lay the foundation for an entire year of planning. Miss those and the consequences show up quietly through penalties, higher premiums, maybe just a rushed decision later on. Good planning isn't reactive, it gets delivered. You should be projecting income, identifying your tax exposure, organizing your documents, and making sure your investment strategy is still aligned if you're retired, especially with your cash flow needs. It's not always about maximizing return, it's about reducing friction in your life. One of the other big disciplines with Stoicism is judgment. And from a tax and estate planning standpoint, that can be really hard, right? Because it's always emotional to get that tax bill or to think about, oh my gosh, the tax bill might be X, or talking about your own demise and what do you really want to have happen once you're gone. That's not easy. Let me touch on estate planning first of all. Current gift and estate tax exemptions, they're really high right now. It's nearly $14 billion per person. That creates some opportunity, but only if you really have a plan for it. Some people ignore it. They're just like, hey, between me and my spouse, we're each going to have 14 million. It's going to be there. Others think it's going to go away tomorrow, so they rush something, right? Those are both mistakes. Judgment means recognizing an opportunity, but not forcing action. It means building a flexible estate plan, making sure things like your beneficiaries are current, coordinating your gifting strategies, and doing that all within the context of your tax and family goals. From a tax planning standpoint, medical deductions, insurance premiums, business owner benefits, a lot of that stuff gets missed, not because they're hidden, but because people don't slow down long enough to think clearly. Epictetus warned that strong emotions come from misdirected desire or just flat out poor judgment. Markets will always move. Tax laws will always change. Kara says in her video, there's always political risk. There's all kinds of risks that are always there every day. What doesn't change is the value of discipline. At Mission Financial Planners, we believe markets inform decisions, but planning determines outcomes. With the right partners and the right data and the right mindset, suddenly things become clear, and clarity replaces anxiety. That's how you start the year strong. See you next week.